Morning, everybody. Welcome to the June 9th meeting of the Board of Police Commissioners, City of Los Angeles. Mr. Teefank, I'd like you to discuss the changes to the agenda.
Yes, Mr. President. Items 2B and 2C are removed from the agenda and will be scheduled at a future date. So therefore, there'll be no public comment on 2B and 2C since they are removed from the agenda.
Thank you. We will begin public comment. I'd like to say something before the public comment, but I'd like to say something before I say something about the public comment.
Commissioner may call roll.
Yeah.
Please let the record reflect Commissioner Soboroff, Madison, Figueroa Villa, Kim, and Saltzman are present, and we have a quorum. Thank you.
When we begin the public comment, I'd like to remind everyone that the time limit is 2 minutes. We're not reducing the time limit based on the number of people here, even though we have the right to. Please be respectful of each speaker's comments and adhere to the 2-minute limit. The Commission does want to hear your comments. However, order will be maintained. I request that there be no applause or yelling out during comments of speakers or during the meeting. If the meeting becomes disruptive, I will close public comment and the Commission will adjourn to closed session. Prior to beginning our Police Commission meeting this morning, I'd like to make some comments relative to recent events surrounding the officer-involved shooting, which resulted in the tragic death of Ezell Ford on August 11th, 2014. This past Friday, a member or members of the LAPD who had access to confidential reports from the Chief and the Inspector General released partial information from those reports to the media, who then, in their headlines, inaccurately reported the process, which led to significant misunderstanding. I quite frankly was concerned that the release of the information and the way in which it was reported via the headline, direct to TV and radio media, had the potential to be a serious breach to the public safety in the city of Los Angeles. The report of the Chief contains his recommendations as to the findings in the 3 areas of tactics, drawing the weapon, and use of deadly force to the Board of Police Commissioners. They are just that, his recommendations. The report of the Inspector General contains his recommendations as to the findings in the same 3 areas of tactics, drawing of weapon, and use of deadly force to the Board of Police Commissioners. Again, they are just that, his recommendations. The Board of Police Commissioners, after today's public comments, will adjourn according to state law into closed session to deliberate this matter. All of the commissioners have been provided copies of the investigation and other materials which are routinely provided as we adjudicate these confidential matters according to state law. These materials have been reviewed by us individually, and during that closed session, we will be deliberating and discussing as a body. We have not talked to each other about this case or the information pursuant to the Brown Act. It's not what we're allowed to do. We will be given, during that meeting, a thorough presentation of the investigation completed by the LAPD Force Investigation Division, which we have previously reviewed. After that is concluded, commissioners will ask the investigators questions about the investigation. Next, the Chief and the Inspector General will provide the commissioners with their analysis of the investigations. The commissioners will fulfill their duty by considering all of this information as presented and then discuss the case and ultimately decide the outcome as it relates to the administrative adjudication of adherence to department policy by the involved officers in the 3 areas of tactics, drawing of the weapon, and use of deadly force. All of this will happen within the next few hours. When we conclude our deliberations, the commissioners will return to this room, and I will announce our decision, which will be the only and final decision as it relates to administrative review. Any decision relative to criminal culpability on the part of the involved officers rests with the LA County DA, not the Chief of Police and not the Police Commission. I've heard demands that our closed session deliberation meeting be in the open. You want me to read the first statement? Again, what I said before? About if people are going to talk, we're just going to go right into closed session? I have heard demands for our deliberation meeting to be in the open. That cannot occur since it is a personnel matter and must, per the laws of the state of California, be discussed in closed session. Those discussions, by law, are confidential. Again, since our discussion will occur in closed session, all of us who are in that session cannot, by law, discuss what took place during those discussions. There will be 2 documents available at the conclusion of the proceedings, as is the case in many, in fact, in all categorical use of force incidents. They will be available today. First, you may make a written or verbal request in accordance with the California Public Records Act, many already have, for the report of the chief. The names of the officers involved will be redacted from that report. This report will be available from the Office of the Police Commission when the report is received in our office from the department. Secondly, the Office of the Inspector General, by the end of business today, will have available on the LAPD website, lapdonline.org, an abridged summary of the investigation and analysis of the facts. As we begin public comment now, I would like to remind you again, the time limit is 2 minutes. Be respectful of each other's comments, adhere to the time limit. Upon conclusion of the public comment, we will immediately move to adjudicate this case and then return here with the response, with the final decision. Madam Secretary, please call 5 speakers at a time, and let's begin. When your name is called, please proceed to the area to my right and your left by the speaker podium. If the meeting becomes disruptive, I will close public comment and the commission will adjourn to closed session.
Thank you. At this time, we have approximately 25 comment cards. The first 5 speakers, Naji Ali, Pastor Tulios, Pete White, Kazi Nakuma, and Hamid Khan.
Morning, sir.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Naji Ali.
We'd like the first 5 speakers, I'll give you the time again. We'd like the first 5 speakers at a time to line up so there's not time between speakers, to respect everyone's time so we can move ahead. Go ahead.
Good morning,
Morning.
Commissioners,
Thank you, sir.
Chief Beck, and staff. My name is Najee Ali, and on behalf of our organization, the National Action Network, and the coalition of activists who've had a chance to read the LA Times on Friday and actually enjoyed the article, I believe Kate Mathers, a truth teller, and it actually gave us a chance to organize against what we believe is a great deal of social injustice as it relates to the murder of Ezell Ford by the LAPD. So, Commissioners, we are officially asking that you reject the recommendations made by Chief Beck and Inspector General Bustamante. We believe those recommendations are out of line, and to this day, there's been no justification told to the community on why Ezell Ford was even stopped to begin with. So as far as I'm concerned, Ezell Ford's shooting death by LAPD was something that could have been prevented had he been not stopped to begin with. And there's been no legal justification to explain that. So anything that happened after he was stopped, I believe the LAPD is responsible for. So in my closing, I just want the Police Commission to know some of the history. In 1999, a mentally ill homeless woman was shot and killed named Margaret Mitchell. I helped lead protests on her behalf. The police chief at that time was Chief Bernard Parks, who said the shooting was in policy, but the tactics were faulty. That sounds familiar. That's the same thing Chief Beck is alleged to have said. So I'm just saying the Police Commission at that time had the courage and conviction to overrule the Chief Parks at that time. So I'm asking that this Police Commission have the courage and conviction to simply do the right thing. The whole city and nation is watching. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Reverend K.W. Toulis, Western.
Morning, sir.
Good morning. Western Regional Director of National Action Network. We stand here today to ask that the Police Commission to do the right thing in rejecting the report of Chief Beck and Inspector General Bustamante. It is ironically alarming to know that this report was to come out on the same day that one of the officers of the LAPD was convicted in the death of Alicia Thomas. It's important that the commission recognize that the world is watching. Not only are we watching, we're expecting you to do the right thing. Your tenure here on this commission will be defined by this very moment. Our community is outraged because it's a fact that Ezell Ford was shot in the back. And at the end of the day, we're very concerned and we're very alarmed, and we want you to do the right thing and rejecting this case. And we're watching and we're waiting, and we hope that you all would do the right thing, and we hope that whatever decision is made, that the votes be made public, and we know where you stand as a commission. Again, we're tired. It seems as if these last 2 years, too many of our community members and residents are dying. Young men are being killed by the LAPD from Skid Row to Venice to South Los Angeles. Enough is enough, and we're tired as a community, and we're asking again that our commission do the right thing. Do the right thing because we're watching and the world is watching. And let's set a tone throughout this nation that police brutality and death and the killing of our children is not acceptable by any law enforcement in the nation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Welcome, sir.
Pete White, Los Angeles Community Action Network. You spoke of misunderstandings. There is no misunderstanding. No misunderstanding when you have a system where one of the leaders who's supposed to be here for the community finds that the stop was unjustified, but the murder was justified. There's no misunderstanding that system is not for us. There is no misunderstanding when you sit here in this room today with a condescending and patronizing attitude toward an African-American community, which was not the same sort of overtures you gave to a largely white community in Venice who went buck wild. And you never said, I will shut down these proceedings.
You haven't gone to all my meetings.
There are no misunderstandings for us. None. there are no misunderstandings when two officers killed Stephen Eugene Washington, one who was sitting in his car. The family was awarded $900,000, and the officers who shot and murdered this young man were awarded $2.1 million because they felt they were discriminated against. There is no misunderstanding that this system is not for us. There is no misunderstanding. I'm going to say to you, Ms. Madison, I was in the California African American Museum about 3 weeks ago when you were there in the town hall, and you said, I took the job because my duty was to save black lives. I am looking at you now to go back into those deliberations and uplift that black life and save other black lives. I am saying to you, I want to hear the press say, Mrs. Paula Madison, former member of the Nation of Islam, came out and said, this injustice will go nowhere. Wow. These cowards, we know, they are supporting a system of white superiority that's been here from day one. But I'm looking at you to do something different. All power to all people.
Thank you, sir. Next. Welcome, sir. Welcome, sir.
My name is Kwasi Nkrumah. I'm the co-chair of the Martin Luther King Coalition of Greater Los Angeles. And I think it's outrageous the way that these police killings are being swept under the rug in this town and every other town in this country today, the double standards. We know that if Ezell Ford had been a young white man on the west side and the same thing had happened, the whole city would be up in an uproar right now. This is 2015, and these double standards about how human beings are treated in different communities has got to come to an end. And a lot of people have turned out today to say, you know, we're not biting on it. This is the year 2015, and if you're still stuck in the past where it's okay to sweep these situations under the rug, we have news for you. We're not all living in a backward zone. We intend to have full human rights and recognition for our communities, for our children, for our youth, and we intend to have full accountability by public officials, particularly those who are empowered to use physical force. I don't really have to say a whole lot more. There are a lot more people here who have things to say. I don't know if Ezell's mother is here today, but we have hundreds, thousands of people in our community who've been deprived of their loved ones, of something called life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and it has got to come to an end, period.
Thank you, sir. Next.
Hamid Khan with the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition. The reason people demanded this to be an open meeting because people don't trust you. People don't trust you because you have a history of completely dismissing people's concerns. People don't trust you because we come here over and over again, and today we're back again speaking about the murder of a young man. As of June 2nd, 472 people have been murdered by law enforcement in the United States. And guess what city leads the nation? It's Los Angeles. It's this Los Angeles. This city, supposedly a city of angels, has become a city of murderers sitting right here amongst us. And you sit there every day, listening to us, and you completely dismiss our concerns. Pete White spoke to Paula Madison. I want to speak to Kathleen Kim and Sandra Figueira. That what do you think about people of color? What do you think, you being a person of color? When people talk to me about Black Lives Matter and other people say all lives matter, well, to me, as a non-black person, what I see is that black life is not valued. It is not valued at all. It is not valued in this forum. It is not valued outside. And you, sitting on this thing, you don't value black lives either, do you? Because we come to you. We try to get some emotion from you. We try to get some answer from you. These people we don't trust. White supremacy is there. White supremacy is there killing us. White supremacy is there that's completely dehumanizing us. But you have to at least listen to your conscience. Don't get stuck as an Asian person and as a Latino person that you have the privilege of not being black. Get real. For crying out loud, get real. People are dying. This is no drama. This is real. We don't trust Soboroff at all. He's the biggest cheerleader. But at least Salzman has some courage to stand up and say something about it. looking at the totality of circumstances, look at the totality of policies. We have come here and told you that this man is denying that racial profiling is going on and black people are being disproportionately impacted.
Next.
So do something about it.
The next five speakers. Jasmine Richards, Beverly Davis, Pedro Baez, Pastor Q. Jean Marie, and Dr. Perry Crouch.
Who's first? Welcome. Are you going to say your name?
My name is Jasmine Richards, and
Thank you. Welcome.
I want you to sit here and look at his face. Look at his eyes. Look at this face. Stop sitting there with that smug attitude and look, okay? And then I'm going to ask you a question. If this was your child, or if your child was killed, would you want people to remain idle? Or would you want them to fight back and stand up for your child, your baby, who you lost, because it's not in the natural order to lose your child? A parent is not supposed to bury their kid. Now, I'm 28 years old, and I have lost more of my friends now than ever. Okay? And I've seen mothers cry more now than ever. And I seen Jutopia Ford's face, and if you looked into her eyes, you wouldn't be able to sit here and do nothing. If you had true empathy, you wouldn't sit here and do nothing. Because, man, you can see the hurt and the pain, and you took a piece of her soul away when you took her baby. Y'all need to know that. Y'all need to know that y'all took a piece of that lady's soul. Y'all need to know that we out here fighting for the mamas. And I ain't gonna stop fighting until something happens. I'm tired. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Y'all gotta do something. Now, of course, they found DNA on the gun. The boy was shot point blank range in the back. Now, it doesn't take a rocket scientist. I didn't go to college, but I'm smart as hell, and I know that the DNA can be found. But did you guys find a fingerprint? Did y'all find a fingerprint? Ask yourself that. World, ask them, did they find a fingerprint? They found DNA. They shot him in his back. Yeah, you're going to find DNA. Did you find a fingerprint? If that answer is no, you better do the right thing. Because if you don't, we out here. And we ain't going nowhere. Because I ain't got nothing to lose. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And we going to win today. Black is back.
Next. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Chairman and members of the Police Commission, my name is Beverly Davis, and I'm president of Black Women's Forum, Inc. It's an organization founded by Congresswoman Maxine Waters, Ethel Bradley, and Ruth Washington, the initial publisher of the Los Angeles Sentinel. Our organization has over 1,200 women as its members, and it represents over 1,000 women in our city. We were seriously pained with the loss of the life of too many African American and others in our city as a result of questionable police killings. Today we're here focused on the killing of Ezell Ford. We have not received a credible response as to why Mr. Ford was stopped by LAPD officers, what crimes he committed, what law he was violating, what reason did the police have for stopping him in the first place. We know the police have used as an excuse for shooting unarmed victims far too many times that he attempted to take my gun. Commissioners, that excuse for killing unarmed citizens has worn thin. We don't believe that that's a legitimate excuse for killing Ezell Ford. We're stunned by the evidence that documents Ezell Ford was shot in the side and in his back at close range. Why, even if unarmed, was Mr. Ford in some way resisting arrest for no apparent reason? Why wasn't he tasered? Why wasn't he restrained? We're sick and tired of the lies and excuses that the police use for killing unarmed African Americans and others. We're disappointed with the decision in this case. The least you can do is fire the officers involved as we continue to pursue justice for Mr. Ford with the U.S. Justice Department. Thank you.
Thank you.
While I still have some time, I'd like to also bring up the killing of Alicia Thomas. We're definitely paying, and along with her mother and the rest of her family, in
Thank
how
you.
her situation with the LAPD was handled, and it resulted in her killing.
Thank you. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Inspector General Bustamante, Chief Beck, President Soboroff, and members of this commission. I'm Pedro Baez, Vice President, Political Affairs Director of the Los Angeles Urban Policy Roundtable. Today, an important decision is to be made by this body regarding the shooting death of Ezell Ford. Today, you will be getting a press release that we put out with the following statement. The Los Angeles Urban Policy Roundtable is hereby requesting that this commission delay its final decision by a week due to 3 to 4 witnesses that tell Dr. Hutchinson and myself a different version of the events that occurred from what has been mentioned by the LAPD. The commission must hear these witnesses' testimony and make it part of the public record on this case. This will ensure that the commission's decision is truly fair, impartial, and transparent, and that this commission fulfills its mandate as the independent, unbiased, and civil watchdog over the LAPD. Today, let's hope that this commission will heed the Los Angeles Urban Policy's request. Thank you very much for hearing me.
Thank you, sir. Morning, sir.
Good morning. My name is Pastor Q from the Church Without Walls on Skid Row, as well as the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, SCLC. Here we are again. Here we are again. Today I'm not here to express anger. This time I'm here to express pain. I'm not here to express some other, I'm here to express all the other emotions that I'm feeling. I'm here to express my hopelessness. I feel hopeless because I know this will happen again. I'm positive. Because black human beings are called broken windows, AKA racial profiling. I'm discouraged based on the history of this commission. Wherever your treasure is, there will your heart be. I have seen this commission value the lives of law enforcement, yet I have yet to see this commission express value for black lives. Because after this, Chief Beck will address the city of Los Angeles through the media, just like he did after Charlie Africa was gunned down in our community of Skid Row. He will ignore Ezell Ford's friends and his mother. He will not address the specific community which has endured the tragedy at the hands of law enforcement. He will say we are a small group with an axe to grind with law enforcement, but I'm here to tell you that the axe of justice is dull and somebody needs to sharpen it. So we reject the findings and the recommendations that they have given you. The community has its own recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Morning, welcome.
How you doing, Mr. President? First and foremost, when you look around, yes, tragic with Ezell Ford, but to say that Chief Beck's a racist, we can't say that. Hold up, I'm speaking. And the reason why we can't say that is that man had promoted more African-American women and Latinos to history. And if a lot of y'all was around in 65 under William Parker, we had no black captains, no black lieutenant. The administration was Roger Murdoch and Tom Redding. So when you're looking at this thing right here, is it work to do? Yes. Have we devised a plan to deal with our mentally illness as a community, and all of us together? We need to develop that plan. How do we address a person with mental illness without it resulting into the tragic thing that happened to Ezell Ford? So what I'm asking the commission to go back and look at, number one, the probable cause. Was there enough probable cause for that gentleman to be stopped? Number two, why was he stopped? And number three, what transpired to encounter?
I'll give you more time.
Okay, to
sit down. People, if this meeting becomes disruptive, I will immediately close public comments and the commission will adjourn. Sit down or we will adjourn. Sit down or we will adjourn. Okay, go ahead.
And
Take your time, sir.
to encounter, because y'all have a job to do, and I trust you will do the right thing. But I want you to look at that and then come up with some recommendations and some policies that maybe we need to have trained mental health professionals along with law enforcement so we don't have the homeless situation that happened on Skid Row and the situation that happened to Ezell Ford. But once again, for me to sit there and say that Chief Charlie Beck is a racist, I can't say that because he did. We asked him for Deputy Chief Scott. He honored that.
Thank you, sir.
So, and I don't care what y'all say, because y'all ain't going to do nothing to me.
The next 5 speakers, Michael Hunt.
Next
Eddie
5
Howard.
speakers, please.
Michael Hunt, Eddie Howard, Suzette Shaw, Deidre
I'm going to ask you to
Kennedy,
be quiet, please.
and Ebony Law. Again, Michael Hunt, Eddie Howard, Suzette Shaw, Deidre Kennedy, and Ebony Love.
Let me get down to this right here, right now. This is what you guys
What's
really...
your name?
I'm Michael Hunt.
Okay.
This is
go
what
ahead.
you guys really represent. The Klan, all the LAPD. Now, let me take this off. Chief Beck, you're a goddamn train wreck. Let me tell you why. Anytime you have to shoot anybody in the back, anytime you have to kill people in Venice Beach, be up to mentally retarded, and fuck up a school, you're a goddamn train wreck with no respect. It's time to retire, get your ass out of here, and leave Los Angeles. I am not going to have this shit no more. You shooting black kids in the back, you shooting kids at Venice Beach, you are shooting from the desert to the sea. Downtown. You just need to leave, and all you white motherfuckers that represent all this bullshit, it's time to stop. It's all of us that's getting killed. I ain't seen a white kid get shot in the back. You know, and that's a goddamn shame. People can't work. People don't get respect. LAPD is not trained correct. And you sitting up here like, oh, it's okay. It's not okay. You know, this is what these people said. All aboard. It's a fucking train wreck at LAPD. You need to bring in the Warren Commission. You need to bring in all the professionals back here. You need to go up under the federal consent decree again, because this shit wouldn't be happening. And time after time. Chief Beck, you're a goddamn train wreck. And it's time that everybody has lost respect for you. And with this whole killing and all these incidents, man, it's time to step down, man. It's a better person to do the job. And we need better training for our officers. And anytime you have to shoot anybody in the back, that's why I'm coming up with a law enforcement handbook with federal guidelines, so you can't get shot in the back. And this is what you don't say. This is what you don't say. A federal law enforcement book where you can't shoot anybody in the back. That's what they got the helicopters up there and the infrared thing up there. People lost respect for you.
Next.
Goddamn train wreck.
Welcome.
Good day. My name is Suzette Shaw, and I am a Skid Row resident. I come before you today regarding the fact that the public is obviously crying out for justice. No justice can be found when injustice perpetuates. When black males and black females continue to be killed, and this injustice remains a status quo, no justice can be found, and justice perpetuates. When over 100 black women were murdered, 200 went missing for over 2 decades, labeled NHI, no human involved, simply for being black women. This happened under your watch. This leaves each and every one of you held accountable. No justice can be found when injustice perpetuates. When Trishawn Carey remains behind bars, a homeless woman who picked up a police baton, when she made no threats to LAPD. No justice can be found, and justice perpetuates. When the criminal system becomes a form of a Jim Crow capitalistic system, no justice can be found, and justice perpetuates. When simply being black deems one a criminal, subject to militaristic-style policing tactics, a domestic terrorist themselves, no justice can be found. Ladies and gentlemen, this goes unnoticed. You can go home at the end of each and every day, but know that justice will prevail because Jah watches over each and every one of us. Power to our people.
Thank you. Welcome, sir.
My name is Eddie Howard, founder of the Skid Row Think Tank and Advocacy Collective, a member of LA CAN, USEF, and I stand in solidarity with Black Lives Matter. We're here today once again saying no more. No more to this ethnic cleansing of Africans in this country. No more racial profiling. No more genocide by a cop. This has been a situation that has perpetuated its ugly head over many centuries in this country, and it continues to do so. We stand here today not just voicing our anger, our righteous anger, but we're also going to voice some demands on this day. Chief Beck, you've shown over many years that you do not have the proper acumen to be the chief cop of this city. So we're putting you on notice right now. We're demanding your resignation. Right now, we're demanding your resignation. And we also demand that there be a citizen review board to oversee incidences of violence by cops. We're saying today, no more. We've had enough. Our communities are hurting. Our communities are in pain. And no one seems to hear the train moving out of the station. But we're tired. We've had enough. And what we're going to do, and we're going to continue to mobilize. This movement is going to be a revolutionary movement, not just for change, but to abolish this system of white imperialistic ideology. This system of apartheid, separate but unequal. As a matter of fact, that system in South Africa, which was legal, got its model. This was the template. America was the template for that system. And no one talks about that. But we understand in our communities that you guys are at war with us. It's an undeclared war because we're not part of that war. But you continue to perpetrate that violence in our communities. And one thing that I understand, too, that policing is both subjective and objective. And a lot of times that subjectivity is dependent upon the pigmentation of one's skin. So we know that you guys are at war with us. You must go, Chief Beck.
Thank you, sir. Next. Morning, sir.
Like, from far as I seen, like, my whole life.
Can you say your name, please, sir?
I'm Dietrich Kenny. Like, as far as I seen, like, my whole life, the police was, like, racist as hell. Like, I was just with, like, 10 Hispanics just chilling. They hit me with, how you a Crip and you with Southsiders and all that? Like, how you with Latinos, Hispanics? I'm like, ain't y'all at war with each other and all that? I don't know what you talking about. Like instigating me to, like, do something to a Mexican, to a Latino, or trying to make it seem like they lower than me, or I'm higher than them, or we ain't nothing because we ain't doing nothing to each other and we just kicking it. Like, I was racist as hell. Like, and then, like, the police, like, y'all don't really look into, like, the misconduct and all that, because I done had drugs planted on me by the police, like at least 2 times. Like, even when I was a minor, like, I done had cases where my fingerprints ain't even on the bag or nothing that they say I touched. I ain't even touch it. But shit, I'm just saying, like, to me, the police department, y'all like a racist gang. Like, I look at y'all like, that's good. Like, instead of me, like, I don't really even get mad when I see my enemies from other hoods and all that. I get mad when I see the police. I ain't gonna lie. I be like, fuck you, and whoopty-whoop in my mind. Like, I be like, if I was strapped, I'd do some shit, but that's it. That's all.
Thank you, sir.
I want to give 5 seconds to the...
What's your name?
Steve Sorov. Can you shut up, please? Thank you.
Will you identify yourself, please?
I want to give 5 seconds to speak about anti-blackness, number one. Anti-blackness is something where not just white folks perpetuate, but people of color perpetuate it as well. So let's be clear that black and brown and white folks in LAPD are perpetuating white supremacy, all right? And for the voices of those who are not here to speak this morning, the voices of Ezell Ford. I wanna put his speaker card just out there. There's one speaker card for Ezell Ford. And for the hundreds of others that officers like Gebro and Chief Beck are allowing to be killed and not allowed to speak here, I want to just shower their names over this meeting. You ready to catch? Ready to catch? All those names. All those names. This is why we're here today. Not because it's one black person who's being killed, but many blacks are being killed. Okay?
Okay.
All of those names.
They can't speak.
Next.
Okay, the next 5 speakers.
Guess what? I got it.
Let it draw, man.
All those names. All these names.
Then
All those names.
the next 5 speakers: Mario Rodriguez, John Walsh.
I got 20 more seconds. Okay. Let me go ahead and take up these last minutes. Soboroff, you are the most worst individual I have ever met. You are numb to the killing of a human being, number one, which means now you're like Hitler. It's pseudo fixation. You're just happy to see folks dead. Happy to see black life
You're done.
dead.
Goodbye.
Oh, goodbye.
Let's go.
The next 5 speakers. Mario Rodriguez,
Sit down.
John Walsh,
Sit.
Shakara Thomas, Morris Big Griffin, and Evelyn Rodriguez. One more time: Mario Rodriguez, John Walsh, Shakara Thomas, Morris Big Griffin, and Evelyn Rodriguez.
Morning, sir.
Good morning.
Try and speak in the mic if you can.
Good morning.
Morning. Do you want to say your name?
My name is Mario Rodriguez.
Thank you.
I'm a college student. I'm a music major. And you know, the killing gotta stop. It's gonna stop. And you know, the corruption, extortion that the government does, LA County, is bad. I'm educated, but I can't even talk right now because I'm so I'm just not used to this. You guys, you guys are in the corruption, you guys are not in the winning, the winning side. You guys are not going to win. You guys are not. You're not. I'm Salvadorian Mexican. Born and raised in LA. I was born in MLK Hospital. My life's been ruined by LAPD since I was before I was a teen. But I've been making the right choices. Yeah. And my friends have been making the right choices, and we're getting educated. And you can't stop us. You'll be hearing more about me. Or if not, my family members, my cousins are sheriffs,
Next, thank you, sir. Mr. Walsh.
Thanks, I don't have to identify myself. I have a confession to make. I'm a white guy. And I sure as hell appreciate being a white guy teaching for 25 years in a black neighborhood because my white skin protects me from being shot by racist cops. If my skin was black, my ass would have been shot off years ago. And isn't a black person or a white person in this room who isn't going to say that's true. But we have gone to the United Nations Commission on Human Rights We have filed a complaint. They have been here recently, and they will come back, except the Obama administration doesn't want them here, because the United States, not just the city, is a haven for every racist cop on the planet. People's asses, black asses, are being shot off. And remember, there was a very famous civil rights song. If you're white, that's all right. Now, if you're brown, you can stay around. But if you're black, stay back, stay back, stay back. My mother made a big mistake marrying and having a child by a white man. God, I wish she had married a black man. And I just want to say, come to our website, J. Walsh Confidential. You will see the complaint that was sent to Geneva, Switzerland, for them to come here and investigate what happened. You're telling me that Ezell Ford threw all the marijuana on the street? If he had done that, there would have been 300 people there picking it up. Where's the goddamn evidence? And I would like to thank the LA Times for leaking it. And Soboroff looked like a fool. We haven't made our decision. You've already made your decision. And if you were to make a decision and say that he was, and fire them, they'd file a lawsuit, and Garcetti would give them $4 million apiece.
Thank you, Walsh.
HollywoodHighlands.org.
Welcome.
My name is Sakara Thomas. I'm the founder of Queens of the Now Now. I'm also a member of the Black Women's Forum and support Black Lives Matter. I'm here today because 2 weeks ago we got an opportunity to see and meet and speak with the mothers of some of these murdered children. And one of their concerns was the reputation and the murder mouthing that is done regarding our children in the media. And we're very concerned that that stops. We're also very concerned about these recommendations that are being made. We would like those recommendations rejected. You speak about the state of California and the laws, but I don't know if you know that the governor himself had a secret policy to veto civil rights actions against the state. We hope that is not happening here. I would also like to share, I'm not foreign to guns being pulled on our children. In the 70s, my younger brother was stopped by the sheriff and the police pulled a gun on him. Luckily, he was big enough and close enough. He was able to take the gun away from the police, and so he lived today. But I am here today for those mothers whose sons were not able and were not close enough to do anything to save their lives. And we're asking you to stand with us, to stand in the gap and help make the difference in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, welcome.
Evelyn Rodriguez in solidarity with Black Lives Matter. A few days ago, I met Ezell Ford's mother. And I couldn't even approach her. I didn't know what words I could possibly say. She looked beyond tired. My heart went out to her. But then when I heard her answer a question, they've already made up their mind the day that they killed Ezell. That was what she said. She has no faith. Why would she? First, her son is murdered. The autopsy delayed, and now y'all expect us to believe that y'all are even gonna take a decision because you don't give up. You've made that decision. You've all already made that decision. A blatant disregard for our communities. You don't give up about us. None of you. Do y'all have a mother? I just want to know that, because it doesn't seem so. Have you ever seen your mother cry? Have you ever seen her in pain, hurt? Probably you haven't. You look like a fucked ass. I'm sorry if that's not okay. But real talk. Our lives matter. Ezell Ford's life matters. Ezell Ford's life matters. Ezell Ford's life matters. Ezell Ford's Life matters. Esau Ford. 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 Life matters. And
welcome, sir.
I'm Morris Griffin, better known as Big Money Griff, community activist, leader, and problem solver. I've been doing this kind of work ever since Daryl Gates days. And Police Chief Beck and to the inspector, all I can say is that nice guys finish last. So here we are, members of the commission. It's your chance now. We want you to be able to say if it doesn't fit, then it must have quit. And that's no bullshit. What we're saying to you is that thanks to the Times, the Los Angeles Times, telling us that the officer said that Enzel was on the bottom of him, and that the officer shot him in the back. Where was the other officer? Why didn't the other officer come up like we saw the girl in Texas run up and say, "Don't do that to my girlfriend," and the officer turned around that was a training officer and pushed her away? Where was the other officer to help him out? Don't be a fool. You got to be a bigger fool than the fool who fooled you into believing that we're supposed to be believing that this was in policy. He's leaving this job up to you. And so I'm asking you to understand that since the beginning of time, we have been victims. Black African Americans have been victims all our lives. And so what we're saying is that we want a DOJ investigation on the forensic evidence to show whether or not there was any fingerprints. We want forensic evidence in regards to seeing whether or not there was skin up under Enzel's fingers because they claimed that they were scratched. All I'm saying to you is that they got to put up, prove it, and if they don't prove it, then you have to take your rightful place and do what you're supposed to do. Transparency. Here we are, 1 year later, and this is not showing us transparency, and there's so much more. But that's all of my time. Thanks for yours. I'm Big Money Griff, over and out.
Thank you, sir.
The next 5 speakers, Ted Hayes, Luz Flores, Carrie Leilon Love, Prentice Jenkins, and Shamel Bell.
Mr. Hayes here? I didn't see him.
I believe he's in the overflow room.
Let's wait for him.
Yeah.
Or one of the other speakers can go ahead. We'll wait for Mr. Hayes. Morning.
Hello, my name is Carrie Lilam Love, and I just want to lift up that what is legal is not always just. So even if we decide, or you decide, that the murder of Ezell Ford was within the law, that does not mean it was just. Slavery was legal in our country. Segregation was legal in our country. The internment of Japanese Americans was all carried out under the law. So what is legal, again, is not always just. People make the law. People will break unjust laws, and as people, you can change the law. As people with power and influence, the legislators, you can change that law. So I call on you as commissioners to do the right thing. The right thing is not always what the law tells you to do. The law does not rule over your morality, all right? And if you cannot find it in your hearts to do what is right, then I call on the spirit of Ezell Ford. I call on the spirit of every young black person, every child, every brother, every mother, sister, father that has been murdered by the LAPD to trouble you and trouble your soul until you do what is right. I call on the spirits of our ancestors who suffered under legal slavery the way that we suffer under legal police terror and police repression today. I call on their spirits to trouble you. I call on Yemaya to send forth the spirits of our ancestors that are on the bottom of the ocean who were killed by state violence before they ever set foot on American soil, all right, to trouble you. Because they are our ancestors and they are not bound by the law. No matter what you do to us, they will come and they will trouble you until we get justice. Thank you.
Prentice Jenkins, City Life Newsletter. I'm going to play something here real quick
This is a young black man who got stopped by a cop. The cop searches him, and then he holds on to his penis for 4 seconds. He just holds him. See that cop? That is a homosexual cop. You have a bunch of homosexual cops in your ranks on the down low. I'm not against gay cops having jobs. Gay folks in America deserve jobs. I'm against this right here. He held on to his penis. 1, 2, 3. That's not a search. That's a sexual assault. That is a homosexual cop. He stopped him, said it was about marijuana, but it was about grabbing his penis. He knows he has homosexual cops who are on the down low, who do stuff like this. You wonder why they stopped Ezell Ford? No one knows why they did it. Could it be that? Just to grab his penis? Ezell Ford was not gay. That cop is. Yeah, but it is about this cop. I'm not talking about gayness. It is about this cop right here. I got another thing. Check this out. I'll get it to him. He's asking, where's that? Now he beats him up. He's got to beat him up now because he knows what he is now. I get it.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. We are on the road in Denver, Colorado. We're broadcasting from Free Speech TV. I'm Amy Goodman. Colorado is one of a handful of states where hundreds of firefighters, paramedics, police, and even corporate employees are being trained to hunt down and report a broadly defined range of suspicious activities.
Next.
They're called terrorism liaison.
You can sit down, please.
Federally supported initiative trains them to look out for observed behavior.
Welcome. And turn that off, please. Welcome.
Hello, good morning. I'm here speaking on behalf of South Los Angeles and Black Lives Matter. Growing up 3 generations in, I've heard countless stories of the various injustices inflicted on my community by your department.
Do you want to say your name or no? It's okay.
My name is Luz Flores. I'm here saying enough. Your wall states quality through continuous improvement. Yet I see no improvement. Our demands embody that improvement. This commission is stuck in the past through its closed doors policies. Like many others have stated, eyes are on you and on this commission. You all have the privilege to change the trajectory of our history and of the history of the injustices faced by South Los Angeles, by this commission and this LAPD department. If our Black communities get no justice, we are prepared to demand that Charlie Beck be fired. We will continue to make you all feel uncomfortable. We will show up at your houses. We will camp out. We will spend the time to be in your face and demand that justice be met for our communities, for Ezell Ford, for Black lives.
Take your time. Go ahead. Talk about your personal experience.
Oh, well, I'm a college student. I'm prepared to go to law school. I'm prepared to challenge you guys on every level, not just being here and showing up, but through my education and through empowering myself through knowledge. I will challenge you, and this is not the last time you guys will see me. You guys will see me continuously through me, through the generations that I will bring up, through my sister, through my coalitions that I support, and through the coalitions that I have yet to build in the future, because this has to stop.
Thank you. Next. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. I'm Shamel Bell from Black Lives Matter Los Angeles. Okay. First, I want to speak to my colleague. Evan was just arrested. So he was the one that reminded you that these speaker cards are for everyone that lost their lives to state-sanctioned violence or police brutality. So I also want to talk to you guys about the examples of you shifting the laws based on what you want to hear, okay? Because the man got extra time, right? So I want to request some extra time, okay? That's what I would like to do. And the reason why I would like to request extra time is because I see that you guys can shift the laws whenever you want to. Because he got 3 minutes, 4 minutes. But when we're talking to you about our lives, we don't have that time, right? So that's showing you that you can do things to change what you're doing, because you just showed us a brilliant example of that right now, right? You showed us that. So I'm actually really caught off guard right now because I'm shaking, because my colleague was said to be kicked out. He was not kicked out of this meeting. We asked him to go get more cards to give to the overflow, and he was arrested, and I don't know why. So I want to speak his name right now, because he's a fighter for us. Evan. Okay, Dillard, how can you stand there and not be enraged? What's your name, Paula? I'm a mother to a black son, right? You guys are black folks. So I want to talk to you guys about, I don't want to talk to any of the other people on the panel. I just want to talk to you guys about why is it that you are not enraged and fighting with us? And knowing that these laws can be changed. I'm just talking from the heart. I don't have anything to say right now because I'm just outraged. But I asked for extra time, and I think that I should be able to get some.
Next.
Because, it's next, because I didn't say.
Hayes, you're up, sir.
Ted Hayes.
Yeah, can I get extra time, please?
Extra time is given when we interrupt a speaker and take up the speaker's time, which is what Mr. Soboroff did. That's why.
He didn't. No one was interrupting.
That's why he got extra time. Mr. Hayes,
you're up.
Please approach the mic.
Mr. Hayes.
He didn't. No time was interrupted, and the other man.
Mr. Hayes, you're up.
Wow. I just wanted to prove a point. Laws can be shifted, right? When it's what they want to hear. That's my point. That's why I did it in the way that I did. I need extra time, ma'am. I'm talking to you, Miss Paula.
And I'm talking to you. You don't get any extra time because we let you use your 2 minutes. It's Mr. Hayes' turn, so please take your seat.
I'll give it to you, Mr. Hayes. But I just wanted to show how. Thank you for this process with me. Thank you, ma'am. And I'm a PhD student at UCLA.
Congratulations.
So yeah, I will be seeing you.
That was patronizing and condescending.
Yeah, I know.
You should sit down, ma'am.
Okay, I think the Commission has an obligation to obey the law, and the law is the Ralph M. Brown Act.
I'm going to ask you to put the signs down. I'm going to ask you to put the sign down, please. You're not going to put the sign down? I'd like to hear the rest of the public comments, but if you're going to disrupt the meeting, then we'll just go into closed session. Thank you. Mr. Hayes, sir.
Thank you. I would like to inform the Commission that you must obey the law, which is the Ralph M. Brown Act.
Is the mic on?
Restart his.
Let's restart.
Hello.
Okay, Mr. Hayes, welcome, sir.
Can I start over again?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to inform the Commission that you must obey the law, and the law in this case, the Ralph M. Brown Act. Commissioners, you cannot adjourn the meeting. The Brown Act says when there's a disturbance, you clear the room, if everyone except the Fifth Estate, the press. Then you readmit back into the room all those who have not been disruptive. Now, why that's important? Because those who have not been disruptive should not suffer mass punishment, all right? They should be heard under this situation, public comment, because as you no doubt know, public comment is information that the public is entitled to have. And the Brown Act points out, whenever you deny the public of information they're entitled to have, you have committed a misdemeanor. Now, you have an attorney over there. I don't know whether he has advised you of this or not. I would hope that he has, and you can always turn down good advice. But had he advised you that you can't simply clear the room and adjourn the meeting because the Brown Act says it's against the law and it amounts to a crime. So I took my public comment time to inform you, because if this meeting becomes disruptive, you are entitled to clear the room. But you must readmit those who are not disruptive. And so far, I've seen that you pointed out persons who you assume are disruptive, holding up signs you may assume that's a disruption, saying things that may be a disruption, and flinging cards may be a disruption. But you can only exclude those persons even when you send all of us out.
Mr. Hayes, you were correct about the flag, and if you're correct about this, then I apologize. I'll check it out. Thank you, sir.
Okay, the next 5 speakers, Melina Abdul, Keith James, Reverend Rethus Murray, Reverend John Kager, Cheyenne Berry, and Olatunde Kasoki.
Welcome.
My name is Dr. Melina Abdullah, and I'm an organizer with Black Lives Matter. I'm here because Antonio Villegas and Charlton Wampler murdered Ezell Ford. We have to stop calling them incidents. We have to stop calling them situations. We can't even call them fatal shootings. These are murders. And black people in Los Angeles, especially under the most murderous police chief in the history of the city and the most murderous police force in this entire nation, are hunted and stalked and routinely murdered. And you all are supposed to be the Civilian Review Commission. You don't work for him, but you behave as if you work for him. He is a mob boss, and these are all of his members, right? So of course his report is going to say that they did nothing wrong because he's protecting his mob. He is a criminal. He is a criminal, and they are all criminals. The police sometimes ask when we're organizing what they can do for us. You know what you all can do for us? You can arrest the police who behave as criminals. That's what you can do. Go out, you want to redact it? We know their names. They are Charlton Wampler and Antonio Villegas, and that's who murdered Ezell Ford. I'm here also as a mother. I'm the mother of 3 children. And I cry because I give my children, who are 11, 8, and 5, the same exact speech that my mother gave me and my siblings, how to survive police interactions, how to not be targeted for speaking out. We know Brother Evan Bunch, who you're mad at for throwing speakers cards, for calling you all out. You all just had him arrested outside. You all just had him arrested. Evan Bunch is a political prisoner, and you all do this routinely. You did it when I tried to deliver a letter to Charlie Beck. You had me arrested.
Next.
Right?
Speaker.
And so you all run this as if we are in an occupied territory. You run this as if we're in an occupied territory, and we are the residents of this city.
Next.
And just because we're black doesn't mean our voices don't matter. And we're going to summon every power that we have to bring justice. We're going to summon our ancestors.
Next.
We're going to stand up. We calling on Brother Ezell. Ezell, stand right here. Stand right here. Speak through us. And I'm not going to sit down because you decided that I get 2 minutes because you don't like what I'm saying. But when somebody else who you like what they saying talks, you give them more time. Forget you. We know the history of white supremacy, Steve Soboroff. Just because you got a
We're
few
going to recess and clear the room.
doesn't make you a good white man. It makes you a benevolent, wannabe benevolent slave master. So you running, you running, you running.
I don't know if he wants to.
Yes, I believe this guy's on here. Yes, ma'am. Madam Secretary, would you call the 5 speakers that you called just before we had to take our recess?
Okay. One of the speakers spoke. The next 4 were Keith James, Reverend Rethus Murray, Reverend John Cager, and Cheyenne Berry, and Olatundu Kosoki.
Okay, I want to hear it from people.
Excuse me, sir. A second. Okay, we're back from our recess. It's important for us. We'd like to hear all the public comments, and we'd like each of you to give the respect to the other speakers so we can, in fact, hear the other public comments. Sir, welcome. Address the commission.
Okay, I want to hear it.
Address the commission, please, sir.
I'm addressing it.
No, you're not.
I am.
No. You want to address the commission?
We're over here, sir.
We're here.
We're here.
Want to say your name or no?
Keith James, Stop Mass Incarceration Network. I want to hear it from people. Justice for Ezell Ford. I want to hear it. Justice for Ezell Ford. This ruling of justifiable homicide by Beck, the LAPD, the Inspector General, and soon to be the Police Commission, it comes in a context. All throughout the country, including right here, where the LAPD has killed more people than any police department in the United States this year, people are getting shot down left and right. Ezell Ford, Omar Abrego, Brendan Glenn in Venice, Charlie Africa downtown, black and unarmed, Latino and unarmed. This is a genocide, and it's happening in a context because not only are they shooting down people, thousands and tens of thousands of people have stood up throughout the United States, starting in Ferguson last August, crescendoing last year, all over the country. So this ruling of justifiable homicide is coming in a context, and it's a giant, flashing green light for more murders by police. That's what this means. The LAPD and the authorities that run them are doubling down. And that's a challenge, and it's a gauntlet being thrown down to everybody who wants to see an end to murder by police. We refuse to live in a society that exonerates itself for genocide. And that's what this is. It's a slow genocide that could become a fast genocide. And that's what it's come to in the United States. Long years and decades and centuries of the oppression of black people. It's come to this. Either the slow genocide continues and it intensifies,
Your 2 minutes are up.
or we stand up.
Over? I didn't hear it.
In our millions,
Sir, your 2 minutes are up.
sweep away a system
Sir, next.
that's responsible for these crimes.
Next.
So that the public security
Okay, I'm
forces
gonna recess
in a
again
whole
if
new
you don't sit down.
revolutionary society would never take
I
the
know we're not
lives
gonna
of an
listen to more
innocent
public
person.
comment.
Never.
So he's taking it away
And
from
that's
you.
what we
You
need.
want him to take it away from you?
Revolution. And in order to get there, we need to fight the power. And let's do that, all right?
Welcome, sir. You want to identify yourself? It's up to you.
My name is Tunde, and I'm trying not to cry. I need to get my words out. I don't want to cry in front. I don't want to cry in front of y'all. I don't even want to give y'all my tears, because I sit here and I look at y'all, and I look at everybody on this board, and nobody's moved. Nobody. People are arguing, yelling at you, crying, telling you about people who are dying, and all of y'all are stoic, hiding behind your emotions. I mean, hiding behind your bureaucracy. Hiding behind your bureaucracy. As soon as I came into this building, there was 5 police officers in front. All had their hands on a gun. As a black man, I was afraid. I was fucking afraid to come in this public building because 5 fucking police their hand on their gun. As a black man. And I have no weapons. Nothing on me. But I know the history of black people getting shot for speaking their mind. And Evan he threw paper in this fucking room. And he got put in handcuffs. So just imagine what I'm going to go through. I live on Figueroa on 82nd. Police officers literally come up to me and my friends, and they say, I could write you a ticket for no reason. That's how corrupt your force is. That's how South LA works. I've witnessed it. Y'all can deny it all y'all want, but it's hide behind these fucking bureaucracies that y'all got, but the system is corrupt. As fuck. That's all I gotta say. I'm gonna sit here and wait for my 2 minutes. I'm gonna sit here and wait for my 2 minutes to end. I hope that something that somebody said up here, somebody's tears, somebody's frustration sits in everybody's minds. One thing sits in each and one of y'all minds, because y'all don't seem like y'all affected at all. It seems pointless, and y'all wonder why we frustrated, because y'all not giving an emotional feedback. That's my time.
Morning, sir. Welcome.
I'm Reverend John Cager. I'm the president of the AME Ministerial Alliance of Southern California, the pastor of Ward AME Church, and I'm here to beg you all to please reject the report of Chief Beck. What you will do if you don't reject that report is validate that the penalty for mental illness is death. And that's not reasonable in a reasonable society. In 2001, a federal consent decree was agreed to because of a failure of training, a failure of leadership, and a culture of hiding behind the silent blue wall. Since 2013, and we've talked about this, Mr. Bustamante and Ms. Madison, since 2013, what we have seen is a return to a failure of training. I've got to shoot someone unarmed because I'm scared as a police officer. That's a failure of training. Failure of leadership, the fact that we continue to have these things is self-evident. And the hiding behind the blue wall, we have an unjustified stop, but a justified killing. If that does not defy logic, then logic does not exist. And I would say to you, Mr. President, Mr. Soboroff, that leadership that is not transparent and leadership that does not accommodate the sensitivity of the situation is not leadership. What it is corporate management, and we don't need a corporate manager in charge of the Los Angeles Police Commission.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Reverend Rethus Murray, pastor of St. Mark AME Church in South Central Los Angeles, and just like my colleague said, I'm a man of little words, and I don't think a lot more need to be said. I'm just going to ask each and every one of you to just look at your own lives, look in the mirror, and then you ask yourself and be honest with what you see. I know it's a tough job. It's a job that sometimes no one's going to be satisfied. But this is what you were put in place, to look in your mirror and make that decision, even if it means going against what everybody else says. We want a commission and a police department that does not operate in lockstep. If you know you have rogue cops, you need to get rid of the rogue cops so that the men and women that are doing their job can then get the light on them. We need to get rid of it, and you got to get it from the root. If you keep playing with it, it's going to come back and bite you. I know as a pastor, I should say pray. Well, yeah, you should pray. But I also know prayer without works is dead. So because the people are worked up, they're frustrated. But I am going to just stay with what I know. God is in control. And I'm asking each and every one of you to look in your own personal lives and do the right thing.
Welcome.
My name is Cheyenne Berry. I'm a student at Cal State LA. My major is Pan-African Studies. And it was not until my major made me open my eyes to see police brutality and to see the works of your men and women on the force. I'm sorry, Steve? I'm talking to you.
Yeah, excuse me.
Thank you. It kills me that all these people are in this room unarmed, but yet you have all these police force in here with their hands on their weapons. None of us are armed in here. That's all that it is. That's all that matters. And it's just like we're at a constant state of war with you. Always at war with you. No matter if even being a black female, I'm constantly under war with you. And as an aunt, I have a nephew coming into this world, and I'm scared as hell for him. Because if you just kill innocent black people that have no weapons on them, I don't understand what you're doing. Make that make sense. And these statements you guys keep saying, like, oh, they're excuses. What are excuses? Excuses are weak-ass statements. Are you weak people? Did you hire weak people? Well, then they all have weak-ass statements for why they're killing unarmed black people. Our lives matter. They seriously matter. And if you don't understand that, then you shouldn't be in this business. It's not for you.
Welcome, sir.
Hi. My name is Bubba, Aaron English. And to be honest, I just want to say that me standing here before you all and trying to convince you that, you know, Black Lives Matter, that would be totally a waste of my time. Because in reality, Black lives do not matter to you. Not at all. It shows in your demeanor ever since you've been out here in these beautiful, kind, gentle human beings of color, of dark color, has presented themselves to you as human beings. And you fail to acknowledge that. You do not see human beings out here asking for their humanity to be acknowledged. And throughout the course of history, you know, their humanity has not been acknowledged. It says right there to protect and serve. But in reality, they are here to protect and serve people like you, Steve, people like you, Robert, people like you, Richard, people like you, Alexander. Yeah, not you, Paula. So, Art Dillard, whoever, all the non-white individuals up there, they're not here to, you know, protect and serve you. So like I said, me sitting up here and telling you that, you know, Black Lives Matter, you know, would be totally a waste of my time. At the end of this day, you will go home to your white family, your white children, and because the system is working in favor of that, you have no heart to see outside of your little bubble and see the realities that they live with on a daily basis. Yes. And I refuse to sit up here and cry to you because that's what you want. You know.
Next, please.
Hold on, just a quick second. I'll be real blunt with you right now. All you see out here are niggas. But in reality, most niggas.
No more speakers?
The next five speakers.
The next five speakers, Jamie Garcia, Paul Shuri, Fran Wilson, Mr. Herman, and Joshua Kiriana.
Hi, my name is Jamie Garcia. I'm with the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition. So, to begin, the murder of Ezell Ford is not a moment in time, but it's a continuation of history. The disregard and devaluing of black lives has manifested itself during slavery, Jim Crow, COINTELPRO, broken windows policing, community policing, the Safer Cities Initiative, and now counterterrorism policies, also known as intelligence-led policing. The structural and operational definitions may have changed, but the human impact is the same. The total extrajudiciary murder of black lives. We see in the Suspicious Activity Reporting Program It defines suspicion as observed behavior reasonably indicative of pre-operational planning or criminal or terrorist behavior. This is the current language that is used by police to monitor and stalk the community, but especially Black lives. The Office of Director of National Intelligence has handed you, Chief Beck, the term reasonable indication, which is an articulable concern to stop people. We know your language, we study you. Just a further reminder to us that constitutional protections don't exist, never existed. Black lives just can't walk home. This is no surprise that Chief Beck sees nothing out of policy in regards to Ezell Ford's murder. This is the ridiculous operational and structural parameters that LAPD operates under. However, Mr. Bustamante, Ms. Paula Madison, Mr. Saltzman, Ms. Kathleen Kim, the community implores you to see this situation in its totality. Don't only hold these officers accountable, look at the history of this institution. Acknowledge the manner in which it operates, the way it's structured. This will not change with petty reforms, training, diversity, partnership, body cameras. We will continue to expose you. We will expose this institution, your lack of action. We will be relentless. You will see us again. You will see me again. We will not stop until this institution is transformed, till police abolition occurs.
Welcome, sir.
Welcome. Are you going to look me in the eye?
I am. I'm just cross-eyed.
That's fascinating because most people, because up to this point, I noticed that you hadn't been doing a whole lot of eye contact. You give me a lot of respect up here. My name is Paul Shirey. I'm here in solidarity with Black Lives Matter. And I had a chance to meet Tritobia Ford this weekend. And you know, only thing I could think about was my mom. You know? And when I think about my mom losing me, you know, in her lifetime, the pain she's gonna go through, what she's gonna carry the rest of her life, right here, what that's gonna manifest in, how that's gonna harm the people that love her because she can't support the way she supported me, the way your mother supported you, Steve. Think about your children, your nieces, your grandchildren. I'm not really sure how it all works for you. That's who you should be thinking about when you rule on this, Steve. That's who you should be thinking about. You should be thinking about the fact that this woman lost her life and the fact that if you lose your life, if you lose a family member, right, how you're going to feel, what kind of justice you want if you lost a family member, because that's exactly what this is. Tritobia Ford, Ezell Ford, his humanity is just as valuable as anybody in your sphere. You need to value it as much as you value your career. Because the only thing I see that matters to this commission, I mean, it could be a good hashtag, my career matters, right? Not Black Lives Matter, right? My career matters, right? Put that on the tombstone. You'll be real proud of that. I mean, look, bottom line, I want to get back to this, though. This is real intimate. You keep on giving me eye contact. You really are, it seems like you're respecting me as like a three-dimensional human here.
I'm not.
I know, because I saw you before, though. You were looking at your smartphone. You were looking out towards the audience.
Thanks.
From the moment I got up here, you looked right at me. What is that about? What is that about?
Mr. Herman?
Is that a whiteness thing? Is that what it is?
You can sit
respect
down.
my humanity?
I
Is that
don't.
what it is?
I don't.
Because
Go
you
ahead.
can't respect people of
Next.
color?
Herman?
Next.
Irreplaceable life, psychological impact, federal consent decree. Unfortunately, I speak to a sense of decency and fairness. With the passage of death, some will heal, others will record what LAPD's atrocities committed against one individual due to his skin, an American person they are to protect and serve. These incidents and reports of media coverage voraciously depict the color of authority for extermination of the black race or individuals in society at large, public at large, all of you. No, I can't look up at this gentleman. He doesn't look at me. Such subsequent subjection of excessive force to the criteria of guilty of crimes, crime without being shocked or horrified, Mr. Ford, a person with a disability not protected under the 14th Amendment or his equal access to life? Again, I am pained with all and everyone here being and crying in protest against such injustice, such hypocrisy of racism, and such undignified justification to respect reference for the law as I speak to you. And all you of color, all of you here today represent what we stand for. And that's called Civilians' Life Matters. And I'm talking about Black Life Matters. Thank you, Mr. Saltzman. Thank you, Ms. Madison.
Thanks. Next. Welcome, sir. We'd like to hear the rest of the speakers instead of hearing people just shouting out. And if you want to shout out, we'll leave. Next.
My name is Joshua Kalanana, and I'm here as an
I
Asian
can't hear you,
American
Josh,
ally.
but they're wasting your time. I'm not going to give you more time.
I would love to listen to them all day, actually. And, you know,
Go
I've been
outside
out
and
there
listen to
marching
them.
with them side by side, and you know what? They're worth way more than this entire panel combined. Because you know what? We've lost all faith in you guys. None of us believe that you're going to decide, you know, in the favor of Ezell Ford and Chitobia Ford. We don't believe that. But you do have an opportunity.
Herman, sit down.
Excuse me. Hello, I'm speaking. If you could stop paying attention to everybody in the audience and look at me, that'd be great. Thank you. So the truth of the matter is, Ezell Ford remains one of many victims of the LAPD and the cops that police Los Angeles County in general. In fact, LAPD is the single deadliest institution in the nation. You're number one in killing civilians, and you're number one in covering it up. What's appalling to see here is that your department is in a crisis and no one is doing anything about it. Your department is in a crisis and we're still having meetings to tell you something needs to change. Your department is in a crisis and you think it's enough to assure the people that investigations of police shootings are independent, but I'm here to tell you it's not enough. It's not enough to say you have integrity but not show it. And it's not enough to say that police make split-second decisions, then do nothing meaningful when they make the wrong ones. The price that any single one of us pay for a parking ticket is far greater than any LAPD officer has paid for killing Ezell Ford, Omar Abrego, or Charlie Africa, or Brendan Glenn. So I stand before you to say enough is enough. Charlton Wampler and Antonio Villegas committed the ultimate crime, murder of Ezell Ford, and
Next
for that
speaker.
they must pay. Thank you.
The next 5 speakers are from the overflow room. We have Keith Noser, Michelle Mitchell, Mr. Juarez, Mike White, and Suzanne Hunter.
Hello.
Welcome.
I asked Chief Charlie Beck the first day on his job.
Do you want to
was he
identify
gonna put-
yourself? I'm sorry. You can start over.
What you want me to
Do
say?
you want to identify yourself or no? It's up to
I'm
you.
Michelle Mitchell.
Okay.
I live in the ghetto, and where most of the police brutality is happening. The people in our community is tired. The protect and the serve is off the police cars. I asked Chief Beck the first day he came into service, was he going to put protect and serve back on the cars? He looked at me like he's looking at me now. Strange. Our kids is dying. The people is dying. People is have warrant strikes. Y'all gave them strikes so they can't speak. People want to speak for themselves. They want to live in a community where they ain't got to worry about getting killed. We put send our kids outside. Kids don't even go outside no more because we scared our kids is going to get killed. Not by us because we can't whoop them, but by cops who can beat them and kill them. So we don't think it's fair that you sit up there and judge us as we get beat, killed, and buried. Our kids deserve an education. They deserve to be productive citizens in life. And if y'all not letting them behind taking that off the police cars, we need that back. We need a new police chief. We're asking that Chief Beck resign, since he could not answer the question to protect and serve, go back on the cars.
Next. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Susan Hunter. I'm here representing any person who is still waiting for the LAPD to become what they keep promising but fail to deliver. The standard operating procedure continues to be deny any problem exists. You deny there is racial profiling or rampant racism. You also deny that there is a backlog of rape kits, yet I've been waiting 3 years for mine to be processed. You claim transparency in all dealings with the public, yet the city still hasn't published the number of rapes reported in LA in 2013, 2014, and year-to-date 2015. Why not? We were promised help for our homeless problem, yet those living in tents on the street are now up to 85% this year. Denying problems is not fixing them. Denying the anger in this room does not make it go away. The LAPD continues to deny the widening gap between the public trust and the LAPD itself. The LAPD continues to deny the deaths of citizens on the street, while the LAPD are utilized to fill and protect city coffers under the guise of meeting goals. This gap of trust had widened under Beck and Garcetti, which is why I have created a Facebook page to recall Garcetti in the hopes we can get some real leadership to fix our problems. Where are the amounts in the reports of how many rapes have happened in this city? Why are we continuing to deny all the problems that are occurring in the city? You have to step up, because if you can't, then the city has to find somebody who will.
Welcome, sir.
How you doing? My name is Michael. Say my last name. I'm not a bad person, but we have no rights in this country. In 2011, I get arrested for 2 white suspects. Is that funny? You know, I won the case. Okay. And at Dodger Stadium, I get fired because I get hit by a baseball, an injury. Racism everywhere on us. I don't know what to say. But I have the solution. I have the solution right here for black people. We must separate. We must separate and get our own police department. You know, I'm not a Black Panther. I'm not a Muslim. I'm not a Crip or a Blood. But I want to get in touch with the Nation of Islam, and we start our own police department. Put some funds together and let them protect us. Because I call the police, they don't come. They don't care. We pay taxes, and the police kill us. We put money in their pocket, and they kill us. I don't know what to say. But we must separate. That's what we're going to have to do. And I want to get in touch with the United Nations and Barack Obama and let the black people become a sovereignty nation. Then we won't need y'all. We could separate from y'all, get our own businesses, our own everything, and go from there. We are the people of the Old Testament Bible. So I'm asking you to let us go. Let us separate. Let my people go so we can get away from y'all. And give us our athletes back. Give us LeBron James, Chris Paul, Marshawn Lynch, Jay-Z, Beyonce, and let us put our money together. Then we won't have to need y'all no more. Let us separate. I don't have no dream. We must separate and do for ourselves. But guess what God is going to do to y'all? Read Exodus 15:3. He's going to take revenge.
Next. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. My name's Keith Moser. I'm a former LAPD officer who got in some trouble in 1988, and I'm here because I'm a community concerned individual. I really want to say I just can't believe that Chief Beck, I just can't believe that you could sit up here with all these people asking all these questions, and it just seems that everybody's numb to the responses of the community. It seems to be like a disconnect completely to the community, especially when I see Mr. Robert Saltzman sleeping on the panel when these people are concerned about Ezell Ford, who was shot in the back. I had a chance to attend a meeting at Faithful Central 2 weeks ago where Deputy Chief Scott was there, and he spoke, and the people had their concerns, and Mrs. Ezell Ford was there as well, and he responded to the people's concerns every question that was asked. And I don't understand why this committee can't respond to anything that
I'll stop you for a second, and I'll give you the rest of the time.
Okay.
Okay? So I can answer your question?
Okay.
In fact, I'd rather let the city attorney answer your question, okay, because it's a very valid question.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The commission does not respond because under the Brown Act, which is part of the government code, this is a general public comment. There's nothing specifically on the agenda which would allow them to respond. People talk about whatever they want within the jurisdiction of this body during general public comment, and that is why you do not get a response.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to start you. Your time has started back, so if you're going to let them
Okay,
talk.
so I'll pick up for 1 minute if you can add that
Yeah.
to the clock. So anyway, I also would like to say that Chief Beck, you know, you come under the guidelines of Chief Gates and Parker before Gates. You know that this has been a racist department. You know, and most of these officers know that there's racism in the department, including officers, white officers calling blacks niggers. You know, you know that there's always been targeting of, you know, the projects and other communities where blacks live. So I can't believe that now it's like all of a sudden you guys are like shocked that Black Lives Matter in this country right now. I want to also say, last thing is that you guys have a videotape of me from 1988 that you use as a training video for all of your new cadets and your officers and your roll calls, and I'd like to have a copy of that since my face is the
thank you,
face.
sir.
I'm finishing. My face
gave
is
you
the
the time
face
back.
of your department's corruption and whatnot.
You wanna
So
call- are there
I'd
any
like to
other
know how I
speakers?
could get a copy of that, Chief Beck. Okay. Yes. Is that a nod? I saw a little bit. Okay. Thank you. And I keep fighting everybody.
Okay, the next 5 speakers are Omar Pai, Kathleen Wells, Gwen Scott, Minnie Hadley Hempstead, and Molly Talcott.
Welcome, sir.
Okay, this is Omar. I'm here because my community is outraged of the practices that LAPD has pulled of people of color. And unfortunately, you guys show how desperate they are as far as greed, corporation, and so forth. Instead, you ignore us like we're just, another planet or someplace. You know what I mean? So I'm just here just to show support to all my communities, people of color, moms, fathers. This is serious. As a Los Angeles Angelino from birth, this is appalling. The world is watching this. We're surrounded by people all over the world because of police brutality. This city is excellent. This is an excellent city here. You know what I mean? And you look at and you put us down by showing us, like we're a sitting duck that's waiting to be shot. You putting us down because our education system is not providing as much information about our people. I'm talking about my people. I'm talking about all people, to be exact. So this is serious. We're not here just to make your day bad. We're here just to show you that Black lives do matters. So if you're going to not accept our message, then this is going to continue on. It's going to erode to the next level. And you guys do not want to see that. You don't want to see what's going to come next if nothing doesn't get solved. Okay, so that's why I'm here, to show my support, to say that I'm angry. This is a beautiful city. I don't want to see this city to go down into the tubes, all right? This is serious. Thank you.
The next speaker.
Welcome.
Hello. My name is Minnie Hadley Hempstead, and I'm president of the Los Angeles NAACP. I'm here to speak regarding Ezell Ford's killing. Some call it murder. I'm wondering. Ezel lived in South Los Angeles. After he was killed, I went over to look, to speak with the neighbors and the people who were just mulling all over the street. And I was told that he never bothered anyone, that he walked and he held his pants up because they were too big and he didn't have a belt, and that the policemen who patrolled the area knew him. And I was told that the 2 officers who killed him knew him. So, and this one lady said, I've been watching him walk around here for 2 or 3 years. And if you talk to him, he doesn't answer. He'll only ask for a cigarette or a light. And I think the thing about that just bothered me so much was, if he did not bother anyone, if he was not in the process of committing any kind of crime at all, and the policemen, I don't think, I've never heard until this day, have never said why they stopped him. And if you have a mental condition and the officers come after you, or anyone come after you, I'm not sure what your reaction would be. But if you are a policeman and your job is to protect and serve, and we pay you well, our policemen look really sharp. I've traveled all over the world. Our policemen are the sharpest policemen because we spend a lot of money taking care of them. But we don't like the way you treat us. And
Thank you.
just one more thing. When
Next,
he,
please. I'm sorry.
Okay. When he was
Trying to do.
Can I have another minute?
No, you can't.
No.
Well, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, Paula.
You know, my name is Kathleen Wells, and I host the Kathleen Wells Show, which is heard on KCAA Radio and the Progressive Voices Network. And I've had that show for 4 years. I was sitting in the overflow room, and when I came in here, I was shocked to see that they're all mostly white men on a commission assessing, analyzing, judging the black community. That's a problem right there. So, I mean, that's the problem. When we elected Barack Obama, the media said, oh, we're in post-racial America. There's no such thing. And see, the media stinks and the system stinks. And you guys are part of the system. You're cogs in a wheel. We're the people. We're the community. And you are not addressing, you cannot judge our community because your point of view is skewed. You have mortgages to pay. You know, you're only concerned about your self-interest. You put your group first and our group. You know, one of the women came up and said that this is occupied territory. I'm sure most of you are pro-Israel because we're just like the Palestinians in America. You see, and most of us identify with Palestinians. And so what I'm going to do on my radio show, initially my show, the Kathleen Wells Show, and in fact, you can see it on YouTube. It's on KCAA Radio. I've been there for 4 years, and I'm also on the Progressive Voices Network. I'm going to now focus on police brutality in the black community. That's all I'm going to focus on. Because, you know, my show would focus on Afghanistan and the Iraq War and the economy and Israel and Palestine. But now I'm focusing solely on police brutality in the black community. Because you guys, there's one black woman here. She has no voice. She's just a, you know, sort of like
Next.
She's a token.
Next.
She has no power whatsoever.
Taking time away from the next speaker.
No, I haven't finished.
Yeah,
because
you
what
have finished.
I say is important. Because no one, you know, the black community has been voiceless
Speaker,
for
please.
too
Do you want to
long.
speak?
Black people need their voices told. We need to tell our own stories. We need to express our own point of view. We don't need white people to tell us what we're thinking, what we're feeling. We need to speak for ourselves. And that's why on my radio show, I want black people to come on my show and tell their stories.
5 seconds, I'm going to recess this meeting again.
You're going to recess the meeting again?
Yeah.
But I would, but why are you shaking your head? You're black.
Because I am black, and because everybody is afforded 2 minutes.
And where do you think you get more time?
2 minutes.
Please step away from the mic.
But I've seen other people in the other room.
Please step away from the mic.
He can't take it.
Can I just make excuse me, I would like to make a statement. The longer it takes for us to complete public comment, we will not be allowed to go into deliberations. What I'm asking for is the respect to be afforded to everyone who wants to speak for 2 minutes. Just a moment. At the conclusion of everyone who has signed a comment card speaking for 2 minutes, we will then recess into a closed session as defined by law, and then we will begin to deliberate on this case. The longer it is delayed, the longer it will take for us to deliberate and give a decision. So please respect.
Okay, I will respect
all right.
that. But
so,
let me just
so, ma'am,
I'll respect that. But
before the commissioners file out again, because the meeting is not going along to the law. If we leave again, the police will then ask those who have been disruptive to leave. The room will be cleared and we'll start again. So please, just take the 2 minutes afforded. We will listen to you. There's no comment we can make to respond to you by law. We're just listening.
Okay.
So you had your 2 minutes. Please step away from the mic, and please let's let the next speaker come forward. Where did Steve go?
Can I just make one?
No, you cannot. You cannot. Could we please get Steve Soboroff back in? Please, I am going to ask one more time. I'm going to ask one more time. We actually, at the conclusion of this session, will begin to deliberate this case, which is what you all are wanting us to do. Please let us hear your comments for 2 minutes each, and then we will go and deliberate this case, and we will come back downstairs and share with you our decision. That is, so right now, it's going on noon. This will probably continue, us hearing public comments, maybe till about 2 o'clock, at which point we will deliberate and then come back. But I want you to understand that the more disruptions we have, the longer this will take. Thank you. I'm sorry. Would you please?
So I'll end the recess saying that I'd like to hear from each of the public speakers that would like to speak, not the people that feel that they're determined to do whatever they want to do. Thank you.
Excuse me, my time. I just lost a couple minutes.
That's fine.
We'll restart.
Excuse me. My name is Gwendolyn Scott. I'm from Northern California, Sacramento. So far, we haven't had any murders by the police officers. But since I've been down here in L.A. for 11 years, and Officer Joseph has been on the force of the Skid Row for 17 years. I'm an undergrad social worker from Southern State University. This goes to the city attorney, Beck, and the rest of the committee. To all of you here, all this outrage, I understand. I feel what you feel, because I've been going through a lot of outrage things myself with my family in Sacramento and in the whole state of California. Therefore, I haven't protested, but I have protested with you guys. For the murder of Ezell Ford and the other black lady that was punched in her stomach when she gave up her kids to the 77 precinct. There was no reason for them to go and get a police warrant for her arrest. They already knew she was on drugs. You know, majority of the people that are down here on Skid Row and around this area is on drugs, or either they are mentally ill. Therefore, just a lot of money done been invested into the police department. We need to get more police equipped and educated to mentally ill people, like my son, who's incarcerated right now because of crack cocaine that I did not bring in this country. It need to be abolished and everything. It need to stop immediately for the drug. It's not a war on drugs. That's a lie. I have observed it. I have been out here, and I have investigated and investigated and investigated, and I'm fed up with it. 44 years ago, I watched a black man, Danny Lozano, in Gulfport, Mississippi, get sabotaged, genocide by the police, and I'll be damned if I want to continue seeing this going on in America. It must be stopped. Anita.
Next.
My name's Dr. Molly Talcott. I'm a professor at Cal State University, Los Angeles. You know, most of my students, 95%, are students of color. They routinely discuss being followed by the police, being harassed, being profiled, being locked up for no reason. And I'm here, you know, I could put on my Doctor of Sociology hat and talk about 500 years of the oppression of black people, indigenous people, the ways in which cops were the original slave catchers, the ways in which this is a system of Jim Crow, a new system. It looks a little different because a lot of the faces of color in power preside over it, but this is a system of white supremacy. I could do that. I could try to appeal to your moral conscience, and I'm really, you know, thinking about the words of Brother Tunde earlier, and I'm really trying to think about how you all sleep at night, right? If we fast forward to in the future, right, and we think about where were all these folks in power when the system changed, because the system is going to change. I really want to lift up all these beautiful people in this multiracial human rights movement led by black people who say, as Brother Quasi said, we intend to create a society with full human rights for all people, regardless of race or gender or sexuality, etc. And why is it in 2015? Black people's hashtag is stop killing us. Stop killing us, right? We need to create a society where police are not here to manage inequality, because that's what's happening. Lock them up, deport them, arrest them, harass them, make them so demoralized that they won't fight back. Oh no, all these people out here, we're the future. My students know it. All these community members know it. We're going to create a new society with or without you, so better get with it.
The next 5 speakers are Christian Torres, Megan E., Idiliva Aborn, Elena Taylor Hamler, and Asa Spivey.
Hi, Chief.
Welcome.
I'm here today. Last Sunday, my preacher said, wear your coat. And I realized God is telling me to come to you and tell you, American, wear your coat. Wear your coat. You cannot go all over the world protecting people, presenting yourself with that identity when terrorism is right here in the backyard. As a matter of fact, can I have that picture? It's a matter of color. That's all. We all children of God. And I'm speaking to you as a prophet of God. I'm not a spy, like many have accused me. I'm not in politics, like many have accused me. If you go to your system, you check about Odile Davis. That's who I am. I walk in the footsteps of my ancestor. It didn't come overnight. Before I was born, till after I was born. All the police officers are not bad people. All Human beings are not bad people, but check yourself. Many of those police officers do this thing to keep their jobs. They are as victims as had the children on the street. Comments come from the office. My sister, you sitting there right now. If you have stood up and go to Chief Baker's office and say, no way, this cannot be happening. Tell you, I will call these people to elect you as a chief of police. Respect begins with oneself. And Chief, I am here and I ask you, what do you think you can do for my people? We're not equals. From education, from the neighborhood we live, please, I'm begging you, do something.
Who's next?
Christian Torres, Megan E., Edilivia Aborn, Elena Tyler Hamler, and Asa Spivey.
Welcome, sir.
All right, so you know my name, and I'm here on the side of humanity and justice with all these beautiful people. And it just goes to show this meeting is one of the most violent that I've ever been in, and not caused by these people, caused by you. You walking away, not listening to the people, listening to the pain that daily people of color, black people are going through your police force, that you're killing. Ezell Ford, his mother, has to live with the pain every day of her missing her son. Right? And I just got to say that you also just arrested the brother Evan Bunch, one of the most kind-hearted persons that I've ever met. Yeah. On his way, he was helping people, helping us so I can speak, trying to get me a card to speak here. And while he was doing that, you arrested him. And that just goes to show you don't care about black people. And although there's people of color here on this panel, I mean, all of you are just complicit on the violence that is committed daily by the police department here. And it's just a shame that it's taken a year to investigate, to come to a decision on Ezell Ford's life. And it's a tragedy. It's just ridiculous that we live under this system, this police force that we pay. As a student at Cal State LA, I pay for all these people here, and so do we. We're to use the capitalist model that under which we live in. We are the customers of this, and we're getting no return. If we make a complaint, we try to voice our voices. You walk away, and then you kick us out or sleep or just not take our voices seriously and our lives seriously. And that's just all I got to say.
Next.
I apparently have 2 minutes, and I'm going to demand them now. My name is Megan Al-Sayed. I'm here in solidarity with Black Lives Matter LA and in support of the Ford family, who, to be honest, should not have to be here. I should not have gotten to meet them, although they're a lovely family. But to be honest, Mother Ford, Sister Ford, should be able to sit home with her child, should be able to sit home with her children, and not fear that any time they leave the house, anything could happen to them. So a number of things, and it's kind of strange that I'm having trouble public speaking, given that I've spoken at the World Debating Championships, and I'm more afraid of these people and these people because they have guns. So, first and foremost, I am going to be taken more seriously by every single person in this room than were the vast majority of speakers, not because anyone in this room woke up and spelled in their Cheerios, "I hate black people." That is not the kind of racism the vast majority of people today have been describing. What we are describing is racism that is systemic, racism that is endemic, and racism that unfortunately manifests in myriad, petty, unsexy ways in our communities. The problem we see with this is not only that, yes, Ezell Ford and a number of black young men and women have been shot in their communities, but also that every single time I open my mouth, even if I use verbatim the same words as Sister Mel, verbatim the same words as any other person of color who has spoken here today, I will not necessarily be on the same ground as them. I'll be a little bit higher. And why? Because I appear to be a white person. And this is exactly the wrench I want to stick in your guys' Yes, white supremacist machine. I am an Arab woman. Because I do not generally look like an Arab woman, I don't have to live under the same fear that the vast majority of people of color have to live under. This is not something that is okay. And yes, for a long time, I did not wear my keffiyeh because I was afraid. But now that I have friends in a community that has to fear more than I do, I think that I have to wear anything that I am afraid to do.
Next,
I have to speak against the chilling effects because we should not fear being. Thank you.
Welcome.
Hi, my name is Elena. I am a 14-year-old black teenager. And I just wanted to say it's clear that I am not welcome in this country. And I was 8 years old when I saw a mother and her 4-year-old child with a baby in her womb get tackled to the ground for something that her black mate did. That was wrong. My mother's friend, she has a little brother. He has mental illness, and he was brutally beaten to the ground by police officers that knew that he was mentally ill. He didn't say anything. And I just wanted to say, we're all clearly statistics. We're all statistics, and it really gets on my nerves because you're statistics too. So what are we supposed to do? I mean, it's people like you guys who just turned your back when we bombed freaking Hiroshima. Now we're ignoring this like it's nothing, and you're saying basically that this is all right. This is not all right, and it needs to stop. I'm finished.
Next. Next. Welcome.
My name is Aza Spivey. I'm 17 years old and I'm with Recharge Teenagers. So I want to talk about police officers, kind of what they've evolved from. They've evolved from slave catchers and overseers. And we know what their job was, to, catch runaways, keep slaves in check, and kill them if necessary. And today, now they have, cooler guns. They've been militarized. And the mission is still the same. It's not to protect and serve anybody except white people. And, of course, to kill people of color. And in a perfect world, police officers are not necessary. So I also want to talk about, I want to talk to all of you. Talking with these public comments, and I mean, it's really nice and everything. It gives visibility to our movement, but at the same time, it's not really changing anything. They're not really hearing us. We tried talking to them, and they clearly aren't listening. So, I mean, they're all awake and looking at me. They look kind of mad, but... So I think that in order to really change the system, we need to kind of move away from, the peaceful protests and organizing marches, because those are really beautiful. But we really need to do something that's going to actively hurt them, to make them change what is going on. Thank you.
The next 5 speakers, Patty Beers, Morris Griffin, Don Modkins, Robbie Davis, and Reverend Oliver E. Byer.
And then there are only 2 more. Are there only 2 more after that?
There are 4 after that.
Okay.
I'll wait till he comes back.
Welcome.
I'm gonna wait till he's ready.
Pardon?
I'm gonna wait till he's ready.
So who's ready?
The gentleman on the commission.
He's not on the commission.
No, there are only 5 commissioners. So go ahead.
He who's walking around.
Your time has already begun.
I'm gonna speak first. My name is Patty Beers. I'm gonna speak first as a mom. My baby, who has Asperger's, is the same age as Ezel Ford. And every day, twice a day, he walks to the store. As a mother, I cannot imagine the pain that Miss Ford is going through every single day. As a mother, I want to say, shame on you, Charlie. Shame on you, Steve. You're the rudest person I've ever met. Now I'm going to speak as a journalist. My name is PM Beers. I wrote an article for the Anti-Media, theantimedia.org. You can read it. I took a look at what the LA Times reported as the evidence. The evidence that the LA Times leaked is not evidence that Ezell Ford did anything. It said that there was DNA on the gun. Of course there's DNA on the gun. The autopsy shows a muzzle imprint on his back. Of course there's DNA on the gun. The evidence says that there's scratches on the officers and there's scratches on the holster. If there's none of Ezell's DNA there, doesn't mean that means Ezell, we don't know if he scratched them or not. And if he did scratch them, we don't know if that was self-defense or aggressive behavior. The evidence is inconclusive. There's eyewitness testimony. Ezell Ford did nothing wrong. Wow, you're all paying attention to this white skin. Do you all notice how they're all looking right at me? I see who you all are not paying attention to.
Excuse me, Mr. Griffin. Excuse me, Mr. Griffin.
I think you've already spoken.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, that's
okay.
correct.
Next.
I did speak.
Next, you're not going to speak again.
Do we have 2-1?
No.
No, sir.
No, you're done. Thank you.
Sir. Thank you.
Apologize
Next.
for that.
Welcome.
Hello. My name is Robbie Davis. I am a member of the Crenshaw District community. I didn't come to speak today. I really came to make sure that I at least occupied a seat. But then, you know, I have 2 grandsons. They're 15 years old. And right now, only the grace of God will make sure that they become 21. Why do I say that? Because I walked through my community. And I want to tell you how easy it is for a young black man to be accosted by police for no reason. This with my own eyes. 15-year-old boy with a tank top and a cap turned backwards, walking in front of me with a loaf of bread. Squad car pulls up. He's knocked up against the wall. I stop. Why, officers? Move on, move on. Well, no, that's not what I do. I don't move on. Come to find out, oh, we have reasonable suspicion because his cap is that color. I said, does that mean he can't go to the store and buy a loaf of bread for his mother? So now we come to Ezell Ford. Unjustifiable stop, justifiable killing. Mind-boggling until you come to the decision that there must be another ramification called white privilege. You're sitting in it. You don't even understand it. You can't even comprehend that your child could be killed in such a manner. But let me tell you something. Your child can be killed in such a manner.
Thanks for
then
coming.
your
Next.
eyes will open.
I think there's 4 more. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. I'm Reverend Oliver E. Bowie from Holman United Methodist Church. I'm here for selfish and unselfish reasons. As an African-American male, I could be the victim just as Ezell Ford. And I believe as I appeal to you, and not only to you, as I appeal to all of us here, that we would, from this day, begin to build bridges instead of walls. I believe, Commission, that we have an excellent opportunity to be able to represent your own minds and to be able to seek justice on behalf of Ezell Ford and others who have simply been killed unarmed. I think that we need to take time and just look at the whole situation. And as I take my seat, I'd like to just quote the prophet Micah from the 6th chapter, the 8th verse, and he says this, and I ask that you would just meditate on this. He hath showed thee, O man, what is good, and what doth the Lord require of thee, but to do justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with our God. God bless you.
Thank you, sir. I think we have the last 4 speakers now.
We actually have 5.
Last 5.
Trutobia Ford, Linda Johnson, Light Heron, Pamago Agamang, and Luanana Pinkai. Pinkney.
Don't take pictures. Hey, don't take pictures. Hey, stop taking pictures. Man. Not to be photographed. She's grieving.
Like, y'all talking about the law. You know that's against the law, right? He does not have her permission.
Everybody look at his face.
I'd like to hear Mrs. Ford speak, or else we will just take a recess.
Really?
And we'll go into... You really think... You don't want us to hear Mrs. Ford speak? The press has the right to take the photographs. Either you're going to sit down or we're going to recess this meeting before Mrs. Ford speaks. You got a choice.
Out of respect, excuse me. Out of respect for Mrs. Ford, I understand that everyone stood to honor her. Please take your seat now. Please take your seat so we can listen to her attentively. She has asked that no photographs be taken. I understand that. But please understand that within the confines of the laws of California and in this room, that is why the media is present, so that the other people who are not able to attend can actually see what occurred. So we cannot stop them from taking pictures.
It's okay.
So
they can
please,
take the pictures.
please sit.
It's all right.
Mrs. Ford just said it's okay to take her pictures,
Okay,
which
whatever.
means
If
people
that's
can
what they
sit
feel
down
they
so
need
we
to
can
do.
hear her.
I'm grieving. I've got snot running all down my face, but it's okay.
Mrs. Ford, welcome, please. We're ready to listen to you. Please sit down.
Hello to the panel.
Welcome.
I like to say, Ezell Ford, he was mental. He was dirty. He didn't take baths, but that was a part of his mental illness. I could not make him. He has that right. I could not put my hands on him and whoop him and make him do anything. He was a grown man. Because he walked away, the officer caught feelings, and they killed him. They got mad. They got angry. Ezell did not understand. Ezell had the thought process of an 8 or a 10-year-old. He was a baby. He was my babe. That's right. Mr. Bustamante, you said that you questioned the tactics of the officers, but yet you cleared them. That is definitely a conflict. How can they not have a reason to stop them, but yet you clear them? How do you question the tactics, but yet you clear them? Mr. Sobroff, I saw you on the news, and you said that we deserve fairness. I'm asking you, I'm begging you, please, please. My son would never grab for nor gun. He wanted to live. That's all he wanted to do was live. He walked the streets. I didn't want him to walk the streets around there because I know it was unsafe. But that was his right. And he didn't deserve to die for it. And that's all I have to say. Please, please. I have faith in you yet. Please. Think about it. Ezell was mentally ill. He wasn't a lunatic. He wasn't suicidal. He wanted to live. Ezell has been stopped many times by police before, and he lived. Officers did the right thing. These officers did wrong. Yes. They did wrong. It's history. Ezell has been stopped, and he complies. He's respectful. I taught my son to be respectful. All of my children. As well, I respect the police. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mrs. Ford. Next. I think there are 4 more speakers, and then we will proceed to adjudicate this case.
Okay. My name is Linda J. I'm an activist, mother who lost a child by a killer, gangbanger killer. It wasn't no different from the killers that y'all have on the force, because a killer is a killer, is a killer. And I'm very disappointed. But it's not about me. God is disappointed with y'all. God is disappointed with you. You just don't know it, but you keep on supporting these thug cops, killer cops. You're making all of you guys look bad. I wrote a book, and I'm going to write another one. I'm going to expose America, because you guys are not all over the country. Nobody is taking a stand. Nobody is being a real leader, Chief Beck. Nobody's being a real leader and doing the right thing, because Ezell Ford's mother shouldn't have to come and tell you that her kid didn't deserve to die because he had a mental problem or because he was dirty, he didn't take a bath. Blood run down his body just like it does your children. And I just feel that, as I started off, God is not going to be pleased with me. All over this world, all over the nation, all over the globe, people know what you guys are doing. Even ISIS know what y'all doing. They don't like you either, and that's terrible when they killers don't even like y'all. But what I'm telling you today, the truth is the truth. And JJ, the truth don't change. The truth don't change, and it's going to be revealed. You guys are being exposed. Everything is being exposed. So when you go home at nighttime, you think about it, because I know you haven't been listening to most of these people here. But every dog got his day, and every good dog got too. My mama told me that, and I'm going to still pray for you. I'm going to pray for you because I know things are going to change. Because just with this little video, who would have thought the video would have changed everything?
Next, please.
Talk to your officers and tell them to do the right thing.
Hi, my name is Lewanana Pinkney. I am from Recharge. In the black community, you guys know, we don't like police officers. We don't. And even through all this stuff that keeps happening, we have yet to see anyone try and change our minds. We have yet to see anyone from the police, try and make a positive impact in our community and make us think that all police officers are bad. Because they aren't. Not all are bad. I have friends whose family members are police officers, and yet I've never seen anyone show us to protect and to serve, and yet we don't know what you guys look like. We don't know the police officers who live in our area. Do police officers live in our area? Like, who are they? We should know who they are. We should know who they are, and they should be in our community, and yet we haven't seen that. We should not be here so angry with you guys. But the truth is that you guys aren't in our community, and you don't care. You don't care to be. That's all I have to say.
Is it the last speaker, last 2 speakers?
We have 2 speakers, yes.
Okay. Welcome.
Thank you, and I take no pleasure in being here. I've been in many police issues, many community issues, and
Would you
it's all
like to
troubling.
state your name or no?
My name is Lita Sister Heron. I am a street soldier affiliated with Ceasefire, and I have a show called Gang Talk. And we're very serious about the work that we do. We know the history of your department, of the police department in Los Angeles, has been horrific. It's the reason for 2 civil revolts in 65 and 92. So as I was sitting here listening to the anger of the community facing you today, I counted up how many police chiefs we've had since 92. How many? Do you know? We've had 4. We're on our 4th police chief in 20 years. It doesn't seem as anything is changing, certainly not enough. Ezell, the least among us, is dead. For what good reason? Guilty of minding his own business, walking down the streets of his own neighborhood alone. And now we have the statement of the surviving officers that conflict the witness testimonies of the community, but yet we have an inspector general that's satisfied with what those officers have told him. What that speaks to is the negative history that our community has endured for many decades. And we are frustrated. We're tired of it. You're killing our children and walking away. And I'm going to bring up the name of Stephen Eugene Washington, that innocent autistic man that was found murdered in policy, but you, not you commissioners, but the police commission found that out of policy. Found those officers guilty of excessive force, unnecessary force, I'm not sure. But in the interim, they received a $4 million settlement because their job was impacted. They were not allowed to patrol anymore. We don't want those officers in our neighborhood. We don't want these officers in our neighborhood. We don't respect the police commission because we don't trust you. We have yet to see you do the right thing,
Sir,
and
next.
we're still waiting. Thank you.
No, I called you, sir, to come up to the microphone. She's finished.
Let me say one more thing. We're looking and asking for a civilian review board. We think we are entitled to that.
Give the
and
respect to these. Okay.
I'm sure we need
Thank you.
I'm glad you didn't say welcome, because I actually had to come back for that. So thank you for not welcoming me, because clearly I'm not welcoming you.
Speak to the mic.
I have three things to say. First thing is, I hope you know what your job is. Your job is not to back them up. That's not your job. Your job is to back us up. That's your job. And the second thing I want to say is, there's a lot of cognitive dissonance going on in this very room, and it just surprises me. Somebody is killed, and you arrest somebody for throwing paper. I'm just saying, like, how does that make sense? You go home at night, you kiss your wife, you tell her you love her. Where's the love in your heart when you allow someone else's son to die? And then you have the nerve to say, well, they shouldn't have approached him, but since they've killed him, it's okay. I mean, maybe I'm just young, and naive, and I'm just stupid, and I don't understand. But it's just really hard for me to understand how you go to sleep at night. And then we walk into this room, and we've got all these officers, all of them, with guns, prepared to fire. Why? Why? These are the questions I want y'all to ponder when you're in your deliberation that's so important to you. I want you to think about that's your son that died. I'm not talking to you white people on the board, because your children will be fine. I'm talking to you people of color on this board. That's your child walking to the store, walking outside, that just got shot. You're the one standing here crying, asking media not to take pictures, but they still gonna take pictures. So you have to concede to them. That's your child. Man, grow up.
Welcome.
Hi, my name's Dawn. Alexander, Charlie, Richard, Robert, Paula, Steve, and the rest of you down there. Where do your kids go to high school? Where do your grandkids go to junior high? Where do your kids play baseball? Where do they play soccer? Where do they play football? Don't think that this is a hood thing. Don't think that this is a ghetto thing. Don't let your judgments get beside you. Our kids play together. We live next door to each other. Right? They play soccer together, football together, baseball together, go to high school together. Don't get it twisted in thinking that you're invincible or that your family members are invincible. We live together. Treat each other humanely. Teach your boys to treat people humanely. Not dragging people down the hall on their stomachs on this dirty floor inhumanely, like an animal, like you just did to Evan Bunch. What is that? I walked into this meeting, and as soon as I walked into the front desk, the first thing I hear is someone screaming, "Help!" And I look, and it's Evan Bunch, one of the most compassionate people who I know for people, unlike some of you. I don't know you personally. Maybe you're compassionate to other people. I don't know. You're not showing compassion for the situations that come before you in this space, right? And Evan does. It seems like the ones who try to fight for people are the ones who are being treated like shit and being taken to jail and being dragged across the fucking floor of the filthy LAPD for no reason. No reason for arrest, no announcement of what the crime was that he committed just now. How viral do you want that to go? You guys really need to make some better decisions. You really need to reflect on how you're making your decisions and who you're impacting. You're also impacting your own communities. Know that.
I think we... We have 4 more speakers, please. We have 4 more. You don't want the 4 speakers? I'd like to hear the last 4 speakers. If you don't, you're shouting down your speakers, not me. You want to shout your speakers down? Shout your speakers down. You want to shout down their right to speak? You want to shout down? That's what you're doing. Sit down.
We have no other public comment cards for item number 1. We have 4 cards for 2A. We have Mr. Hunt.
Sit down.
Mr. Herman, who's not long here. Mr. Hunt, who's not here.
Off the agenda?
Excuse me?
Is 2A off the agenda?
No,
it's on the agenda. Let's call the 4 speakers.
We have Mr. Ted Hayes and Pentas Jenkins.
Mr. Hayes, and who are the other 2 on item 2A?
Mr. Herman and Mr. Michael. It's on the one item.
Herman, Hayes, Jenkins on 2A.
Michael Hunt, who is no longer here. Mr. Herman, who is also not here. We have Mr. Ted Hayes, and we have Prentice Jenkins on item number 2A.
Mr. Jenkins, you're here, so would you like to speak? Oh, Mr. Hayes. Welcome back, sir.
Mayor Garcetti intervened and indicated to the chief they must expedite this thing, bring it to a conclusion. It was very unusual for the mayor to do that, to demand that the chief stop stalling, so to speak, and bring this to a conclusion. And that's important because you had Mr. Baez tell you that he wanted you to delay things even farther because they had witnesses they wanted to present to you before you make your determination. Now, the spokesman for the chief and the department always said they were waiting for more evidence, more witnesses. Well, Mr. Baez says he has those people, and you should not proceed until you hear from them, or at least some investigative body within the department takes their testimony or their evidence. I concur. I respect Mr. Baez. I think you know who he represents, what he's involved in. And if he says he has people that the police have been looking for, that the investigators have been looking for, I think you should take the time to allow that evidence to come forward. I don't know what it's like, but you can evaluate it, you can justify it. And the Brown Act does allow you to do that in public comment. You may send a staff person out to address a person who makes public comment. Read it. You'll find out that's true. So whether you contacted Ms. Baez before he got out of the room, I don't know. But that certainly should have been done because that's the most important testimony you heard all day. Thank you.
Mr. Jenkins?
And the other 2 are?
They're not here.
They're not here. Okay. This is the last speaker. There will be no more speaker cards accepted. This is the last speaker, and then we'll be adjourning. Too late.
Colorado's one of a handful of states where hundreds of firefighters, paramedics, police, and even corporate employees are being trained to hunt down and report a broadly defined range.
Is this to the commission, or what are you doing?
This is a show and tell.
To who?
To the commission and to everyone in the.
I can't see it.
I can't shoot.
There you go. I got it. I can see it now. Thanks.
Can you put more time on there, sir?
No.
Hold on. Since you did interrupt me, can you?
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. We are on the
Hold on,
Denver, Colorado. We're broadcasting from Free Speech TV. I'm Amy Goodman. Colorado is one of a handful of states where hundreds of firefighters, paramedics, police, and even corporate employees are being trained to hunt down and report a broadly defined range of suspicious activities. They're called terrorism liaison officers. The federally supported initiative trains them to look out for, quote, observed behavior that may be indicative of intelligence gathering or pre-operational planning related to terrorism. The list of suspicious behaviors includes taking photographs or videos of no apparent aesthetic value, making measurements, drawings, or taking notes, and conversing in code. The program's gaining traction.
Adversing in code.
Officers, or TLOs, have been deployed in at least 8 states, including Arizona, California, Colorado, Florida, Illinois, Tennessee, Washington, D.C., and Wisconsin. According to the
Chief Beck, I'd like to know, is this happening here? Can you address that? Is this happening here? Do you have cops looking in people's windows, finding out how well he does on top of his wife or his boyfriend? That happens with some of your cops here. Is that happening here?
There are no other comment cards, Mr.
I would estimate that we would be back. We're going to be doing the adjudication. I would estimate that we would be back here between 1:30 and let's say 2 o'clock. That's what we'll try.
Okay, the Board of Police Commissioners
Be 2
will now
hours.
recess into closed session to discuss
Takes longer,
item
takes
number
longer.
2A in accordance with Government Code 54957.
They got to get their materials and stuff. Should be here in just a second, sir. If you give just one moment, you have to get us back in session. You have to get us back in closed session. Don't do the report out.
Okay. Ready? We're back in open session, Mr. President.
I'd like to read a statement which will be released as a media release immediately. This morning, my fellow police commissioners and I completed the long and extremely difficult task of carefully reviewing and making a decision regarding the use of force incident which resulted in the death of Mr. Ezell Ford 25 years of age, on August 11th, 2014. This is a tragedy for all involved: the family, relatives, loved ones, and friends of Mr. Ford, as well as the involved police officers. To the Ford family, my fellow police commissioners and I extend our sincere sympathies for your profound loss. I would like to give a brief review of the investigative process that took place in this investigation and in all deadly use of force incidents involving LAPD officers. The investigation into the facts of the events was completed by the Los Angeles Police Department Force Investigation Division, which is comprised of very experienced and skilled investigators in accordance with guidelines that have been placed for a number of years as a result of the past federal consent decree. The completed investigation is presented to the Los Angeles Police Department Use of Force Review Board, which is comprised of command staff members of the department. Upon their review, they make a recommendation to the Chief of Police for his consideration. The Chief of Police then provides the Police Commission with his analysis of the investigation and recommendations as to the findings in 3 specific areas: tactics of the involved officers, drawing of the firearm by the involved officers, and use of deadly force by the involved officers. That document will be available by a California Public Records request with the names of the involved officers redacted immediately after this meeting in the Commission office. While the department is conducting its investigation, our Inspector General, Alex Bustamante, and members of his staff, on behalf of the Police Commission, are involved in monitoring the investigation from the initial steps of responding to the scene through attending the Use of Force Review Board. The Inspector General is given unfettered access to all of the investigative materials. The Inspector General provides the Police Commission with an independent analysis and recommendations into the same 3 areas that the Chief of Police does: tactics, drawing, use of force. As is the case in all categorical use of force incidents, the Inspector General will have available for public review an abridged summary of his analysis of this incident on behalf of the Police Commission on the department website by the end of the workday today. That website is www.lapdonline.org. www.lapdonline.org. The Police Commission has had copies of each of the members of the Police Commission has had copies of all of the investigative materials for our review for a period of time. In fact, I think last Tuesday for Sandra, last Wednesday for the rest of us. Which we have all done. This morning, the Police Commission was given a this morning and into this afternoon, the Police Commission was given a presentation by the Force Investigation Division investigators with a very thorough and complete overview of this investigation. Their presentation was followed with a discussion with the Chief of Police and Inspector General relative to their respective analyses of the incident of the 3 areas: tactics, drawing, and use of force. The Los Angeles Police Department has the most extensive investigative processes into the use of deadly force incidents in America. Our review of this incident has been intense and intensive. This commission takes its responsibility to the community and to the Los Angeles Police Department very seriously when considering incidents in which when considering the rare incidents in which Los Angeles police officers use deadly force. I am confident that we have been presented a very thorough and complete investigation, with analysis provided by skilled and talented members of the Los Angeles Police Department and our Inspector General's office. Our analysis has been deliberate, thoughtful, and compassionate based on our best understanding of the facts. We also appreciate the public comments received this morning. The recommendation of the Chief of Police for all officers was that their actions were in policy in all three areas. The recommendation of the Inspector General as it relates to tactics was that one officer out of policy and one officer in policy. As it relates to the drawing and use of force, the officer's actions were in policy. These were the recommendations. Now that this extensive investigation is complete, this civilian oversight body has made our decision in this incident relative to the appropriateness in each of the three areas: tactics, drawing, and use of force. All votes on everything I'm about to tell you were unanimous. We're 5-0. As it relates to the tactics in this incident, the Police Commission found tactical debrief for both officers, the tactics employed by one police officer 3, administrative disapproval, and one police officer 2, in policy, no further action. On the drawing of the weapon. Relating to the drawing of the weapon, the Police Commission found, again, vote unanimous, that the drawing of the weapon by one police officer 3, administrative disapproval, and one police officer 2, first drawing, administrative disapproval, and second drawing, in policy, no further action. Regarding non-lethal use of force, the Police Commission found that non-lethal use of force by one police officer 3 was administrative disapproval, and one police officer 2 in policy, no further action. Regarding the use of force or firing of the weapon, the Police Commission unanimously found that the use of force by one police officer 2 was administrative disapproval, and one police officer 2 in policy, no further action. The determination as to criminal culpability for the involved officers is the responsibility of the Los Angeles County DA and not within the authority of the Chief of Police or this commission. Pursuant to California law, my fellow commissioners and I, along with those who were present in the closed session meetings, are unable to divulge any information discussed during those meetings, including our justifications leading to our individual votes. Plenty of information will be provided to you in the 2 documents that will be out there. This incident has changed all involved in it forever. My fellow police commissioners and I clearly understand the grief and loss the Ford family will feel forever, as well as the impact on the involved police officers and their families. Our compassion and thoughts will remain with them. I have a motion for ending the meeting.
Moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
So y'all know what just happened. They don't even get disciplined. They get to murder people on the
listening to understand what happened.
Hi, I'm Shannon Lamert Park. You're watching LA City View, Channel 35, our city, our channel.